A shocking secret rocks a convent as its nuns mysteriously become pregnant, one after another. Join us as we delve into the story of St. Mary's Convent, nestled deep in the mountains of North Carolina, where the tranquil lives of the nuns are upended by a horrifying mystery. One by one, they find themselves inexplicably pregnant. As rumors spread far and wide and a stern bishop intervenes, a dark conspiracy slowly unravels, bringing with it secrets, betrayal, and a fierce struggle to reclaim justice and truth. Can the nuns overcome this trial? And what is truly happening within the convent's walls? Tune into this gripping and surprising tale, hidden deep in the misty Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina, where fog blankets the landscape year-round and birdsong echoes from ancient forests, lies the secluded St. Mary's Convent. Here, 50 nuns dedicate their lives to prayer, adhering strictly to sacred vows and living apart from the outside world. Their days unfold in a rhythm established centuries ago, serene and steady, like a stream flowing over smooth stones. Each morning, before dawn breaks, the chime of a small bell tower stirs the nuns from sleep. They don their familiar gray habits, their faces serene, unadorned, radiating purity and devotion. After private prayers, they gather in the small chapel for early Mass. On that fateful morning of May 15th, 2025, the air in the chapel feels unusually solemn. Candlelight flickers on the altar, mingling with the faint scent of incense, creating a sacred atmosphere. Mother Superior Elizabeth, a woman who has devoted 65 years to God, stands before the altar. Her hair is streaked with silver, but her eyes shine with wisdom and compassion. The nuns, some young, newly vowed, others seasoned by decades of devotion, sit quietly, heads bowed in prayer. The soft cadence of Scripture fills the tranquil space, each word a whisper to the divine. As the Mass proceeds with reverence, a faint groan shatters the peace. Sister Lily, a 22-year-old nun with eyes clear as morning dew and a gentle smile, suddenly collapses to the floor. The small sound is enough to startle everyone. "Sister Lily!" Sister Rose, seated beside her, cries out in panic, rushing to support her trembling form. Lily's face is pale, her breathing shallow and uneven. One hand clutches her abdomen, her expression twisted in pain. The other nuns exchange worried glances. Some hurry for help. Mother Superior Elizabeth approaches swiftly, her face etched with concern. "Take her to the infirmary at once," she commands, her voice firm yet caring. Sister Violet and Sister Daisy, the strongest among them, gently lift Lily and guide her away. The remaining nuns whisper in fear, an uneasy feeling spreading like a shadow. Something is terribly wrong, but no one dares speak it aloud. Half an hour later, Dr. Thomas Reed, a seasoned physician who has long served religious communities in the region, arrives at the convent. A kind and dedicated man, respected by all. His face pales as he examines Lily in the infirmary. Mother Superior Elizabeth stands nearby, her calm voice betraying unease. "Doctor, what's wrong with her?" Dr. Reed hesitates before speaking softly. Mother Superior Sister Lily shows clear signs of pregnancy. Elizabeth freezes, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Impossible," she says, her voice sharp and resolute. No one here would break their sacred vows. Dr. Reed sighs, wiping sweat from his brow. "I understand your doubt, Mother, but the signs are unmistakable. Her abdomen is slightly swollen, and she's experiencing typical pregnancy symptoms." A heavy silence envelops the room. Mother Superior Elizabeth feels the ground shift beneath her. These young women, devoted to God, isolated from the world. How could this be? No man has ever set foot in the convent? Yet the truth lies before her. A memory flashes. Weeks earlier, during a rare charity trip to a nearby rural village, Lily had briefly gone missing in the woods. She returned shaken and quieter than usual. Could something have happened there? Elizabeth pushes the dark thought aside, urging herself to stay calm and seek clarity before judging. We must examine all the nuns. Dr. Reed breaks the silence. Elizabeth hesitates, then nods. The news spreads through the convent like wildfire. Soon, a shocking revelation emerges. Lily is not alone. At least 5 other nuns show similar symptoms. The infirmary, once a quiet place scented with herbs, becomes a tense and stifling space. Mother Superior Elizabeth stands by Lily's bedside, staring at her pale face, the doctor's words echoing. Pregnancy? Impossible, she murmurs to herself. For years, she has witnessed the nuns' devotion, their sacrifice of worldly pleasures for God. How could this happen in such a sacred, isolated place? Outside the infirmary, the other nuns are restless, their faces etched with worry. They clutch rosaries, whispering prayers for peace amid the sudden storm. Elizabeth takes a deep breath, striving to remain the pillar her daughters need. Dr. Reed, she says, her voice steady, please explain further. Could this be a mistake? He shakes his head, still shaken. Mother, after thorough examination, I'm certain Sister Lily's symptoms, nausea, fatigue, physical changes, are undeniable signs of pregnancy. Elizabeth's heart aches as she looks at Lily, so young and innocent. How could this happen? We live apart from the world, Sister Rose stammers, tears in her eyes. No man is allowed here. This is unthinkable. Dr. Reed sighs. I understand your confusion, but medically, I'm certain. We must find the cause. Elizabeth nods, her mind a tangle of questions. This affects not just Lily, but the convent's honor. Dr. Reed, she says firmly, examine every nun. We need to know if others are affected. That afternoon, as tension grips the convent, Dr. Reed conducts his examinations. By sunset, he gathers everyone in the great hall, his face grim. Mother Superior, sisters, he says, I've found 5 more nuns with pregnancy symptoms. A collective gasp fills the room. Young nuns cling to each other, tears streaming. Older ones stand stunned. 6 pregnant nuns in a cloistered convent, untouched by men. An unimaginable scandal. Elizabeth feels a dagger in her heart. 6 of her spiritual daughters, whom she loves like her own, are caught in this unthinkable situation. As shock and fear ripple through the group, Sister Iris, a nun of nearly 30 years, speaks tremulously. Mother Superior, I must confess something. All eyes turn to her pale, tormented face. 3 months ago, during a trip to fetch medicine from a nearby village, I met a strange man. Iris chokes, tears falling. A heavy sigh fills the room. Elizabeth begins to piece it together. On rare outings for charity or supplies, some nuns may have met men, their loneliness leading to temptation. But why 6, all at once? Is it coincidence, or is a darker secret at play? She recalls Lily's strange behavior after her time lost in the woods. Could it be connected? The convent becomes shrouded in gloom. The 15 nuns, accustomed to peace and discipline, now live in fear and confusion. 6 carry new life, a sacred yet sinful reality in this context. Elizabeth strives to stay strong, but shame and pain gnaw at her. Despite efforts to keep the matter secret, whispers escape. Mrs. Clara, an elderly woman who delivers produce from a nearby market, overhears village gossip about trouble at the convent. Initially dismissing it, she grows suspicious after seeing the nuns' anxious faces. Unable to resist, she shares the story, embellishing it with guesses. Soon, the tale of pregnant nuns becomes the talk of Boone, the small town at the mountain's base. Curiosity turns to judgment, then outrage. Villagers weave wild stories of secret trysts in moonlit woods, some even claiming divine punishment for impurity. The rumors spread like a plague, threatening the convent's revered reputation. At the diocese, Bishop Paul, a stern and conservative figure, receives an anonymous letter detailing the scandal. Known for his rigid stance on discipline, he summons Father James, the local pastor with ties to Elizabeth. James defends the nuns, calling the rumors baseless, but Paul, fearing for the church's reputation, decides to investigate personally. One foggy morning, a black car pulls up to St. Mary's Convent. Bishop Paul, clad in dark purple robes, steps out, his face severe. Elizabeth, forewarned of his visit, greets him with a heavy heart, hiding her fear. Paul silently observes the stone walls, lush gardens, and anxious nuns. In the parlor, alone with Elizabeth, his piercing gaze seems to probe her soul. "Mother Superior," he says, his voice commanding, "I've heard rumors about this convent. Tell me the truth." Elizabeth recounts Lily's collapse, Dr. Reed's diagnosis, and the discovery of 5 others, including Iris's confession. Paul listens, his face unreadable, the silence amplifying her unease. "These are grave sins," Paul declares coldly. "These nuns have betrayed their vows, bringing shame to the church." Elizabeth pleads for mercy, citing their devotion and possible momentary weakness, but Paul is unmoved. Mercy is needed, but justice must prevail. This cannot be ignored. He gathers the nuns, his words cutting like knives. 6 of you are pregnant, a betrayal of your vows and the church's trust. Tears fall as the nuns tremble under his gaze. Elizabeth tries to intercede, but Paul dismisses her. They had their chance to live holy lives and squandered it. Outside, the townsfolk's anger grows. Hearing of Paul's investigation, dozens gather at the convent gates, shouting insults and throwing stones. "Hypocrites! Unworthy!" they cry, demanding the nuns' expulsion. The cries pierce the convent, deepening the nuns' despair. Paul decrees that no one may leave until the truth is uncovered, announcing he will personally examine the nuns to confirm the pregnancies, a decision that horrifies them. That night, fear blankets St. Mary's. The nuns pray and weep in the dark, their peaceful lives shattered, uncertain of what Paul's investigation will bring. The next morning, Paul begins his inquiry. In the great hall, the nuns sit silently, heads bowed as his cold eyes scan them. "This is an unforgivable disgrace," he declares. After further examinations, he announces, 12 nuns are pregnant. The room erupts in sobs. 12, an even greater shock. "These women have broken their sacred vows," Paul continues, demanding they sign confessions, admitting their sins, and accepting punishment. Refusal means immediate expulsion. Elizabeth's heart burns with indignation. The decision feels cruel and unjust. She suspects something deeper but cannot yet name it. Noticing Paul's triumphant demeanor, Elizabeth grows wary. She secretly meets Sister Violet, a trusted, discreet nun. "Sister Violet," she whispers urgently, "I need your help." She writes a letter to Father John, a wise and compassionate priest who once served at St. Mary's, detailing the crisis and her suspicions about Paul. She entrusts the letter to Violet, urging absolute secrecy. Violet hides it in her sleeve, vowing to deliver it safely. As Paul tightens his grip, monitoring all activity, the pregnant nuns live in shame and fear. Elizabeth consoles them, clinging to hope that John can help. One night, Violet slips out through a kitchen door, navigating dark corridors to escape into the night. On her way to find John, she spots a familiar figure sneaking from the convent. Who is it, and why move so secretly? Doubt and fear grip her. Is another secret hidden within these walls? Days drag on, heavy with despair. The 12 pregnant nuns face isolation and scrutiny, the confessions awaiting their signatures. Elizabeth comforts them, but her own heart aches with helplessness. Violet has not returned, but Elizabeth trusts she's reaching John. One morning, Sister Wren, a shy 19-year-old, fails to appear for prayers. Since learning of her pregnancy, she has grown withdrawn. Sister Rose, her roommate, finds her door ajar and screams at the sight. Wren lies motionless, a bottle of sleeping pills empty beside her. Elizabeth collapses, cradling Wren's cold body, tears mixing with the nuns' sobs. Wren's death shocks the convent, deepening their grief. Paul orders a brief prayer and swift burial, his indifference fueling their anger. That night, unable to sleep, Elizabeth writes another letter, this time to Father Richard, a compassionate priest known for his pursuit of justice. She details the crisis, Paul's harshness, and Wren's tragedy, sending it via a trusted villager. Meanwhile, Violet reaches Father John's church after a grueling 2-day trek through rugged terrain. Exhausted, she pours out the story, tears falling. John listens with empathy, his face resolute. "This is grave," he says. "I'll help uncover the truth." The next day, he and Violet return to a nearby village, avoiding the convent to gather information. Villagers confirm the rumors spread and Paul's harsh demeanor. That night, with a villager's help, they enter the convent through a secret path. Elizabeth, overjoyed to see them, agrees to their covert investigation. John, Elizabeth, and Violet observe quietly, noting Paul's late-night meetings with a stranger and discovering unmarked vials in his room. They enlist Sister Grace, a sharp young nun, who reports Paul tampering with the nuns' food and water. Suspecting foul play, John tests samples, revealing artificial hormones mimicking pregnancy symptoms. The nuns are victims, not sinners. They conclude Paul orchestrated this to discredit the convent and Elizabeth, possibly to advance his career. But how did he obtain the hormones undetected? Grace recalls Paul frequenting an old storage room. That night, John and Grace enter it, finding vials of a milky liquid, a notebook in Paul's handwriting detailing dosages, and letters to a supplier in Charlotte. The evidence is undeniable. Paul poisoned the nuns to ruin the convent. The next day, during Mass, John, Elizabeth, and Grace confront Paul with the evidence. John details their findings, presenting the notebook and letters. Paul's face shifts from shock to rage, but he cannot deny the proof. Elizabeth denounces his cruelty, recounting the nuns' suffering and Wren's death. Father Peter, a young priest from the parish council, supports them, having long suspected Paul. Sister Anna, silent until now, admits seeing Paul bring vials into the convent, but feared speaking out. The evidence and testimonies overwhelm Paul, who crumbles under scrutiny. John informs higher church authorities, leading to Paul's immediate suspension and a formal investigation. He is stripped of his titles and sent to a remote monastery. The truth spreads, and the townsfolk, once hostile, feel remorse. A special Mass celebrates the nuns' vindication, drawing clergy and villagers alike. Elizabeth and John speak of truth's triumph, and applause honors Elizabeth's courage. The nuns, once shamed, stand proud, their honor restored. The Church enacts stricter oversight to prevent such abuses. Paul lives out his days in isolation, haunted by his sins. As the Mass ends, Sister Ivy whispers to Elizabeth, revealing a final secret. Years ago, as a novice elsewhere, Paul, then a young priest, had an illicit affair with a nun. When exposed, she was expelled and later took her life. Ivy, her friend, harbored resentment. Recognizing Paul at St. Mary's, she suspected his involvement and tracked his letters, uncovering his vengeful motive against the Church for his past. This revelation stuns Elizabeth and John, adding depth to Paul's actions. Life at St. Mary's resumes its sacred rhythm. The 12 pregnant nuns, cared for lovingly, welcome their children. the convent becomes a beacon of hope, its story inspiring others. Elizabeth, John, and Peter guide its growth. One sunny day, Elizabeth watches the children play under ancient trees, her heart full. From tragedy, St. Mary's emerges stronger, a testament to faith, truth, and justice. As the sun sets, peace reigns, and the convent continues its mission of love and compassion.